Hi everyone, happy Halloween! I'm just as a character from one of my favorite movies that I've reviewed. I bet a lot of you can guess who. Or the few of you that do watch these videos, that is. That are really into the anime, especially Studio Ghibli. So, I'm going to be talking about the top 13 best Halloween animated films list. And boy, this was a hard one to make. So, for this list, I'm only counting movies that are feature length, so an hour or more. So, Great Pumpkin is not going to be on this list. Okay, coming in at number 13, we have Mickey's House of Villains. The Disney villains. You can't get much more iconic for Halloween characters than that. We have Maleficent, Jafar, Ursula, Cruella, Hades. So many great characters. So, Jafar leads a coup on the House of Mouse and takes over with his fellow villains with a great show-stopping number. It's Our House Now. And it's great to see all the villains together. Some of them, Maleficent especially, do seem to have very small amounts, and other ones like Scar don't appear at all, which probably has one of its very few problems for me. But there's so much fun here. We have some great shorts, both from Mickey Mouse work era and from the classic era of Mickey Mouse, Lonesome Ghost, Trick or Treat, and some other ones that are newer, but still just as much fun, such as Goofy becoming a ghost and trying to scare Donald. That, as well as what was so great about House of Mouse, with all the characters interacting together and coming together under one roof, makes this a definite must see, and a really great final fight between Mickey and the villains that will make it a perfect Halloween treat for any Disney fan. Coming in at number 12, we have one of the more obscure movies on this list, Mad Monster Party. When you think of the names Rankin Bass, you undoubtedly think of great Christmas specials like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Fewer people know of their Halloween special that was released in 1968, Mad Monster Party. Baron Boris von Frankenstein is voiced by the one and only Boris Karloff, is retiring as head of the monsters, so he's going to pass the secrets on to his nephew Felix. But his creation, Francesca, a beautiful human robot, becomes jealous of Felix, and along with the monsters that are coming to a party, including Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster and his mate, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Invisible Man, lots of great characters, and all of them coming together for a party. It's just so much fun, and watching them all try to beat Felix leads to some great scenes of monster movie tributes, including one that's called It. This was before Stephen King, so it's not that It, but it's a monster that I'm sure a lot of people are quite familiar with. And some catchy songs, including Our Time to Shine, sung by Francesca, and Different, You're Different, sung by Phyllis Diller, playing the monster's mate. So, this one is a little all over the place with its storyline. The real story of Felix arriving to the island probably happens around 45-50 minutes in, And then we have some very quick character arcs with Francesca. But this isn't a movie you watch for its story. You watch for corny fun. A lot of the monster jokes are really on. Dracula at one point says, "And now, friends, will see who was the original Batman." Or Felix bumping into Invisible Man at one point, apologizing, saying that he can't see him without his glasses, and then the Invisible Man chuckles, saying that he's heard that one before. So, this is a more obscure movie, but it's definitely worth checking out, especially for fans of Rankin Bass and the classic monsters. But it also has so much corny fun that it's impossible not to smile at least once during it. Coming in at number 11 is Hotel Transylvania. Blah, blah, blah. So, these movies are very similar to the previous entry in the sense that all the characters and monsters are coming together for vacation. But I think the story here is stronger, which is why they're one place ahead. Yeah, so the story in Hotel Transylvania is stronger than Mad Monster Party. That says a lot. But there are countless gags, some decent heart to them, particularly with Dracula and Mavis. And in spite of my problems with Dracula in the second movie that I talked about in my review of it, I really do like him as a character. And they definitely do show some interesting sides to the monster human rivalry and how the fear really goes on both sides, making for a very interesting movie as well as a nice message on tolerance. It's low on the list though because there are a few characters that can get annoying. Johnny, I'm looking at you. But the animation style is unique and fun, and it has some good laughs. So all three of these are definitely movies you should check out during the Halloween season. Coming in at number 10, we have Monster House. Yeah. This movie was an early motion capture, and yeah, the style of animation really isn't one of my favorites. It works decently in Polar Express and A Christmas Carol, but some movies, this included, look a little awkward. But it still kind of fits in a very weird way for the Halloween theme, making it sort of creepy in that sense. Not to say that there's not enough creepy on this movie on its own. Oh no, there is. For one thing, we have the monstrous house constantly eating people that get too close, and a backstory for the house that is surprisingly tear-jerking and dark, leading to a pretty complex character and interesting spin on it. The twist that comes up towards the end of the movie is really clever, and you never would have seen it coming unless you're a really astute viewer. There's maybe one or two signs beforehand, but they're nice and thinly veiled so that it doesn't come out of left field, but at the same time, it's subtle enough so that most people would miss it the first viewing. And we have a lot of adult humor in this one. I'd say preteens will definitely enjoy some of the humor in this movie and some of the things the characters are going through, pretty specifically puberty and starting to become attracted. There are some definite scares, but at the same time, there's enough humor that it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Maybe for older kids more than some of the others on this list, but it still is a very fun movie. And unlike most of this list, other than one or two others that I'm going to be mentioning, it actually takes place on Halloween, so that's all the more reason to include it. Coming in at number 9 is The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I almost put Legend of Sleepy Hollow, but then I would be breaking my own rule about the specials and the length. So this is sort of cheating in a sense, but I think that unlike the other segmented films of this time, they really work well together. I won't get into Mr. Toad too much since it's not really Halloween themed, but Ichabod definitely is something special. Aside from the great Headless Horseman scene, it's a really fun featurette. Bing Crosby narrating the whole thing, and other than that, no dialogue other than a few songs and sound effects like some laughter. And of course, there's some great songs here. The Headless Horseman song, especially, is really catchy and creepy at the same time. And the Headless Horseman himself is usually considered one of Disney's darkest moments. So he definitely had to be on this one. And a lot of things that are interesting in this film are how much it goes against typical Disney characters. Ichabod himself isn't exactly one of Disney's most likable heroes. He happily says how he couldn't resist Katrina's father's farm and thinks of all the money he'll get from marrying her instead of loving her for herself. And then, well, considering the Headless Horseman and all, it doesn't end as happily as most Disney stories do. So that makes for some real contrast and a surprising yet very fascinating twist on Disney's typical happy endings. Definitely worth checking out. Coming in at number 8 is Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. What's Halloween without some Scooby-Doo? A lot of people have different ones. Some people love the live action movie, which I have problems with, but they're petty ones, really, and that's not what this is for. Other people, like me, also love Ghoul School, which is Ghost, but this is the movie that really does both transcend the typical Scooby-Doo story while still remaining true to their usual characteristics and really does balance out the new with the classic well. After the gang reunites to search for new monsters and goes for Daphne's TV show, they become frustrated when it continuously begins to look like they're finding fakes again and again. But then they're called to an island, Moonscar Island, where it turns out that there is a real mystery of a pirate ghost, and he might just be more real than other kinds of creatures they've come across. This is Scooby-Doo at his darkest that I've seen. Not just with the imagery, but some of the themes that are in here. The fact that lives are actually at stake in this movie. Actually, dead people appear. Real zombies. Making it for a real change from the typical Scooby-Doo formula. Some of the darkest villains of Scooby-Doo ever. As well as two great songs with The Ghost Is Here, and of course, it's Terror Time Again, which I'm sure a lot of us have seen on various Halloween videos and might find ourselves humming a bit afterwards. You hear the creaking of an owl to howl. Oh gosh. It's just so catchy, as well as maintaining what was great about Scooby-Doo while also adding to it. And it has a possible love interest for Velma that has never shown up again. I don't care about Shaggy and Bowman together. Bring back Bo! Or not. Boy can dream. Either way, Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island is probably the best Scooby movie of all. And it's definitely worth checking out for fans of Scooby-Doo. And maybe even some skeptics that want to watch some with their more devoted fans. Now, coming in at number 7, we have Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Aardman animation. You either love them or you hate them. My mom hates them, especially these guys. But let's talk about the movie Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. So, in parody of werewolf movie fashion, Wallace and Gromit are against a big rabbit that's ruining any chances the vegetable festival has to, well, prosper, and they're the humane pest control anti-pesto. Yeah, plenty of puns here related to both vegetables and monsters. And this movie is such a bizarre concept that, well, it works. That's exactly how Aardman movies usually work. They're completely bizarre and ridiculous, but they work anyway. And this movie is a definite example of that. And we have some great performances by Helena Bonham Carter, Ralph Fiennes, Peter Sallis, the voice of Wallace, and all kinds of great puns from the Benjis and some good tributes to monster movies of the time. So that definitely will make this a worthy choice for Halloween. And I'm not going to rant on it just because I liked the other two movies that ran against it better, especially since one of them is my favorite. But either way, that's no reason to hate this movie. It's still a fun and funny movie and very creative. Definitely worth checking out. Just so you know, if you're not a big fan of British humor or claymation, this is one to skip for one of the other movies I put on the list. And another great movie that has a lot of horror tropes and references to classic monster movies is Frankenweenie. Tim Burton's film about a boy who brings his dead dog Sparky back from the dead, and this one is another great movie because of all the classic monster movies, so that's definitely going to be great for the fans. We have Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Mummy, plenty of good references to movies, and then and oh, I'm sorry there, lost my train of thought there, and then we have a lot of heartwarming moments between Sparky and Victor, as well as some great stop motion as can be expected from Tim Burton. This was a lengthened version of a short film he previously had made. And then we have it all in black and white, which definitely shows the classic horror feel to it, while also maintaining a signature Burton style. And it can really encourage kids to get into science too. Not raise their dogs from the dead, hopefully, but at the same time, there's a lot of heart to this movie and really has good message about being open-minded to anything that's different and to science, as well as how sometimes people might not always understand things, and that can lead them to do bad things, which also ties into number 5 on the list, Paranorman. This film is from Leica, who is also known for another movie that's going to be on this list soon, Suspense. And this plays tribute to the classic zombie movies, and zombies. I think zombies are gross usually. With some exceptions, Billy Butcherson from Hocus Pocus I love. And here, they make one that doesn't go for a lot of the gore and disgusting stuff, obviously, because it's, well, a family film. I won't say kids film because there's some definite dark themes here that definitely make it worth watching. Now, the witch trials actually come up in this movie, but unlike something like Hocus Pocus, which, as much as I love, does have the witches be pure evil, so they don't really go into the idea of what the accusers were really like. Here we see a very dark side to them, and we can definitely see how that can easily repeat itself, and the judgments Norman faces aren't that different from the judgments that the accused would have at the time. And of course, great stop motion. Leica movies are beautiful. I love them all. And we have some characters that are kind of stereotypical at times, which is probably why it's at this spot. But at the same time, that's sort of the point. And in the case of one, it really does go against the typical stereotype for a certain character. I'm not going to spoil it because it's one of the best parts of the film, but I will just say Mitch isn't a typical jock. The ghost characters all have a lot of charm to them too, especially Norman's grandma. And some of the ones he passes on his way to school also provide some good laughs. So, funny with a deep message and beautifully animated, Paranorman is definitely one for any Halloween viewing. Coming in at number 4, we have Coraline. Yes. Here's the other Leica one I was talking about. Again, the animation is beautiful and gorgeous, going from dream come true to nightmare in no time at all. It has one of the few messages of be careful what you wish for done in a way that I like it. So that definitely earns it some points. And I love how the two worlds connect, and we have a great villain with the Beldam, or Other Mother. Come on, if you didn't see her as bad guy as soon as she came on, you must be oblivious, and it's given away in the trailers. But the very fact that we do know, but Coraline can't see any of the warning signs, does make it all the more ominous, unlike somebody like Hans, where the twist comes from the fact that we don't know either. But we have a great heroine of Coraline who grows over the movie, beautiful animation, some really dark yet fascinating scenes, and a good message of being happy with the family you do have. So it's a definite movie for any Halloween viewing. It's a masterpiece. Coming in at number 3, we have Monsters, Inc. One of my favorite Pixar films, probably, even today, is Monsters, Inc. The idea of monsters scaring kids being a 9 to 5 job is clever, as well as the whole world of Monstropolis. Stinkiness is a good thing. Yeah, there's so many twists to their world, like odorant and some of the other little designs of everything in the monster world, as well as some great characters. Sully, Mike, Roz, Boo, the Abominable Snowman. These are some of Pixar's best. I will definitely put Mike really high on my list of great Pixar characters, as well as Roz. And we have a really heartwarming story with Sully and Boo growing closer, and how they really started to understand each other, and how they just so quickly connect even though their worlds are different and they're supposed to be afraid of each other. So cute and sweet. And of course, the animation is great. It still holds up pretty well, which is surprising since it's a 17-year-old film. It shouldn't be holding up as well as it is. Unlike some other movies, it really does still look as great as ever. So, what more can I say about this film? One of Pixar's great films. And Monsters University, of course, is another one that should be mentioned. Coming in at number 2, we have Corpse Bride. Victor Van Dort winds up marrying a corpse named Emily by mistake, and while he's practicing his wedding views for a girl named Victoria, and then he gets taken to the land of the dead, which is ironically more lively than his own home. And that makes for a nice twist and a beautifully animated, very lively and fantastic world, as opposed to a place where nobody has much personality and those that do are rather unpleasant. And of course, we have Danny Elfman's score, some great moments between Victor and Emily. Like I said in my review, it is a little rushed, but at the same time, I'm willing to forgive it because I love it so much. The songs and animation and some of the secondary characters are just so brilliant. But I think it's outweighed a little bit by number 1, which I'm sure everyone can figure out what it is. The Nightmare Before Christmas. What more can I say about this movie? I already did a whole review on it. Check out my channel for more. The animation, the characters, the way that it can work for both Halloween and Christmas, the songs, it's a masterpiece. And it's one that I was terrified of as a kid. So kids that like being scared a little will definitely have some fun with. It's definitely the best animated Halloween film. And as always, I want to thank you for watching. And if there's any anime films you want me to review, please leave them in the comment section below. And until then, this is Halloween.